Hi, this is Are Tømmerås at Migris. This is part 1 of our instruction video series for the new MigriX lightweight petroleum systems modeling software. And in this video we'll be looking at a general introduction to MigriX. So we start by opening a set of grid files in a file explorer and dragging these files into the 3D view, dropping them, and this will open the project setup panel. Here we can give in the ages, names, file names and lithologies of the different layer units, and we can make changes. For instance, to the ages we may want to change some of these to fit with our requirements, and we may also want to change the names of some of the layers. So next we can go to the lithologies and change for some of the text on the Cretaceous units and make them into more carbonate rocks, and add a sandstone unit for the main reservoir in the Middle Jurassic. We may also want to change the source rocks to add a couple of new ones. Next we can give in the project name that we want to use, and we may want to select which area we're working and set geographical coordinates, and then when we're finished just press the finish button and this will open the model. So here we see the model with 12 layers shown in the 3D view. We can go and activate the layer names so that we see the names of each layer. We can look at the statistics for the model. This shows the number of cells in the model and the extent. Next we can go and look at some of the model properties, such as the depth maps, the thickness of the different units, and the ages of the layers. And we can also change the input properties by going to the input section. So for instance we can take the two source rock units and change the properties for these. Start with the TOC for the upper layer. We change this to 5.5 and also change the hydrogen index to 500. Okay, then we can go to the second source, change the TOC value, making it a bit lower, and the hydrogen index as well. Okay, so now the source rock properties are updated. Next we can look at the time steps the model is using. So by default the model will use only a single time step, but we can easily add more by opening this time step editor and just clicking on the time steps that we want to include. After closing the time step editor, we will need to update the model, and this we do by pressing the update model in the toolbar. This will save the project and reopen it. So we now see all the model layers again, and we can select one layer, the main reservoir, and say that we only want to show this, and then we can start a simulation. So to start a simulation we go to the simulation toolbar and press the simulate to present day button. And we now see in the lower right corner that there is a progress bar which shows the current progress of the simulation. So here we see the first time step. This is at 90 MA, and here the yellow to brown areas are where there's dominant gas flow, green areas are dominant oil flow, and violet areas are mixed phase flow. We also see the main traps with oil in dark green and gas in bright red. And now the simulation is completed. You see that it's at 0 MA, and we have a lot of migration coming from the basin up to the structures on the flanks and the highs. Okay, so before continuing with the migration, we may have a look at the modeled source rock results. So we can pull these two layers apart and then look at some of the maturity results for these two source rock units. Start with the maturity windows, which shows the source rock maturity classes with oil in green and gas in red and immature areas in blue. We can also look at the timing when the source rock has reached the oil maturity and when it has reached gas window maturity. And we may look at the transformation ratios for oil and for gas. Next, we may go to the expelled folder and plot the expelled volumes, taking into account the source rock properties and the thickness. So here we see the expelled oil volumes, and we see divided into classes by the most extreme oil generation in the basin. Next, we can go back to the carrier unit. So we make the source rocks visible, show just a carrier, and go back to the flow results, the migration. So we see we have the migration paths and the traps. We can now pick one of these traps and go to the drainage and plot the drainage area for this trap. We can also plot the areas which may spill into this drainage area, and we can plot properties on top of the drainage area such as the depths, and we may also look at where this drainage area spills to next. Okay, we can then do a more detailed analysis on these traps, try to look at the modeled column heights. Here we have the hydrocarbon columns in total in meter. We can look at the gas columns and the oil columns. Okay, so you see here we have a trap of 34 meters. We can now open a trap viewer for this trap to look even more in detail at it. And here we have different plots which shows the evolution through time for this trap. So the first plot here is the trapped hydrocarbons, which shows the volumes in the trap at each time step. Similarly, we have a plot which shows the moving hydrocarbons through time. So we see here 4 different time steps with the volumes going in and out. We can also look at the evolution of the physical properties through time, and all these results are summarized in the trap table, which is the rightmost panel. And here we see the table listing of all the results for this particular trap. Okay, next we may want to look in more detail at the individual flow paths that are modeled. So we go back to the flow rates map and we activate picking, and we select a few points along the basin margin. Okay, so now we have 5 different points. We can then go into the menu and choose stream from all picked nodes, and this will add streams to the 3D view showing the different flow paths starting from these points that we have digitized. We can then go into the streams properties and change the appearance of these streams and which property they are showing. We hope this video has clarified any questions you might have, and please use the contact information shown on the screen if you have any further questions. Thank you.